Does studying suck? Do you wish, students and educators, that you had more creative and interesting ways to cram all that information we need to learn into your head? Well, today I've got some quirky and a little odd study supplies that I think could very well transform your ability to study in interesting ways. Let's dive into learning them, shall we? Hi everyone, I'm Gretchen, founder of the Anti-Boring Learning Lab, where we obsess about science-backed study skills and executive function strategies that every student needs to thrive. And where we're kind of goofy too. And today, I actually am going to start off with a quiz. I want to show you 5 weird objects that might seem like they have nothing to do with studying. Well, some of them might seem like it, but I bet some of them will confuse you. And then we are going to talk about how these particular objects motivate you to learn better and maybe send you out on a little mini shopping spree before the semester kicks in earnest. Because let me just tell you, spring semester is a hard semester to keep yourself going on, right? Like you can kind of make it through fall semester, but oh my goodness, by May, not even May, by April, it's starting to drag, and you need some fun things to keep you going. And anti-boring study supplies might just be those fun things. So here, object number 1. Object number 2. Object number 3 is actually a stack of objects. Whoops. That might be the most obvious one. Object number 4. And object number 5. Okay, so what do all of these strange objects have to do with studying? In order to answer that question, the first thing we need to do is to review the anti-boring study cycle. And actually, there's a full video all about the study cycle that I actually recommend. If you haven't watched it yet, you just pause and go watch that. You'll understand it way better than in this quickie overview I'm going to give you right now. But basically, this is my consolidation of all of the complicated brain science about how we learn. Scientists have been learning so much. And I've consolidated it all down into 3 simple steps that students need to know. How we get information into our brains in the first place, how we test ourselves to see what we know and don't know, and then how we relearn the stuff that we didn't get the first time in a new and more interesting, need I say, anti-boring way. And we keep on cycling through these steps until we know all the information. So that's the gist. So the question is, what do all these supplies have to do with the study cycle? And I want to look at them one at a time. So, and maybe let's actually go backwards. Let's see if I can even remember the order. This is a whiteboard. I didn't hold up a whiteboard marker, but they kind of go hand in hand, right? So how might you use a whiteboard in your studying? When you are testing yourself to see what you know and don't know, you could write out answers to questions, or you could give yourself a time limit, like 3 minutes, and say, how can I write like everything I think I learned in class today on the whiteboard and get it represented on the board? That is an example of what the scientists call retrieval practice. And for whatever reason, writing on whiteboards is way more fun than writing on paper. You could do the same thing with a paper, but if you can get yourself a whiteboard, go for it. It really makes your studying more anti-boring. Now, that is how you could use it if you were in step 2 of the study cycle, which is all about testing yourself and retrieval practice. But step 1 and 3 are about encoding or learning it again in a new and different way. And again, that's what's nice about whiteboards is, let's just say there's a vocabulary word you're struggling with. You could draw a picture of that vocabulary word here with the definition embedded in the picture. I'm just spitballing examples, right? You could turn all the information that you've been learning into some sort of a chart so it's way more organized, and that might be easier for your brain. You can erase things and redraw. I mean, there's so much you can do with a whiteboard, thousands of things, really. So, whiteboards, a wonderful anti-boring study tool. Let's see. Okay, I'm actually just going to go in a different order and not try and just go backwards. The next thing that may have been obvious to you is this little stack right here. What are these? These are flashcards. Now, this particular stack is a set of index cards that have been sliced in half. You could just get regular sized index cards. I know flashcards are not everybody's most exciting thing, and I know many of you like to use Quizlet and other online flashcards, and that's fine. And, you know, we can talk in other videos about how to use Quizlet well versus how to use it badly. But for now, I really want to recommend you that you use paper flashcards for the things that you are really struggling to remember this semester. And so having a set of blank paper flashcards around can be really a good thing. However, my student clients, I was an academic coach for a while before I became an educator trainer, and my clients would often throw away their paper flashcards when they were done with the test, and boy did that bug me, because these are so important to hang on to and not lose so that you can use them to study for final exams. That is where this comes in. This is a handy dandy little mini hole puncher. I just love it. And here, I'm going to show you how you can punch the corner of your flashcard. Let's do maybe 2 more, just because it's more fun to see them all in a set. Right, so you've got your little holes on your flashcards, and then this fun little ring here is a great way to keep all of your flashcards in one place and safe. And you can still use it to quiz yourself, to look at one side and be like, okay, I think that word means la 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 la, and then to turn it over and to check to see if you're correct. But your rings will keep each of your sets together for each of your units or modules or however your teacher teaches. Now, you might have learned some of my other anti-boring flashcard techniques, which do include making piles of flashcards all around your space. And so if that's the case, obviously you'd have to take them out of the ring and then put them back in the ring later. But it's worth it to get your body moving and to study in anti-boring ways. So those were 3 of the items I showed you that I think every student should have around. Now, that brings us just to one more object, and this might be the weirdest one of all, huh? Blue tape. Let's talk about what the blue tape is for. What makes blue tape special is that it's also called painter's tape, and painters use it to trim around a room where they don't want any paint to go. And so that means it can be stuck and removed without hurting the walls. So your parents will not mind you putting your flashcards up all over the house if you have blue tape around, or your roommates, or yourself if you live alone. So I love blue tape because it can allow us to move our bodies and quiz ourselves occasionally while we're just moving through our daily lives. And let me give you an example of how you might do that. So I made 2 flashcards here. This one flashcard says transform. What are some synonyms for the word transform? This one here says, what are some synonyms for the word undulate? So let's say that you have a hallway that goes, out of your bedroom and to the stairs to head downstairs. What you can do, and let's pretend that these words were really hard for you to memorize. You don't want to do this with every vocabulary word, but you do want to do it with the ones that actually were trickier. So you put these down the hallway, and then, hold on, let me just tape this one down. So, and then when you leave your bedroom, every time you leave your bedroom, you go, undulate. I wonder what the synonym for undulate is to bob. Is bob right? You flip it up and notice that the words are readable here. It's like, oh no, it's surge, a surge or a billow. Okay, Undulate, a surge or a billow, a surge or a billow. Okay, wait, let me try transform. Transform, I think that means to change or to shift. Were those the words I need to know? Oh yeah, change. But alter, that's right. My teacher wants me to know alter as well. Okay, alter. I'll try that again later when I come back upstairs. And then you go on with your day. It can also be really great to put blue tape in places you spend a lot of time, maybe on your mirror or when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, maybe across from the toilet, because we all know we spend a few minutes on the toilet every day. So blue tape is actually one of my favorite quirky study supplies because it can be used in so many different ways. All right, I actually forgot to show you all the fifth set of things that I have, and that is a variety of Post-it notes. What's great about Post-its is they can be used in the same way that we use the blue tape and flashcards. You can put them on the wall, and you can, write a word on the front and then flip it over and write the definition or the answer or whatever. The thing that I don't love for walls is that they typically fall off and fly. They're not as sticky, so the painter's tape holds things as long as you need them there. But Post-its are also wonderful to put on top of your notes so that you can quiz yourself. Like maybe you write a question and the answer to the question is in your notes underneath the Post-it. And so you can go through all of your notes and you can slap Post-its on. Or you can use the smaller Post-its to cover up words on worksheets so that you have to go back and quiz yourself to see what's on the worksheet. You also, if you are, all of these are retrieval strategies or step 2 of the study cycle, but maybe if you need to encode something you don't know in a new way, like I just came up with this idea right now. In your hallway, you could have the things that you don't know, and then you could have a pen and some Post-its on the floor below. And that, what was the word? I don't even remember. The word that I couldn't remember. Oh, surge and billow. So surge has a real image to it. I feel like I could draw a wave that is a surging wave. And I could do that on my Post-it note as an encoding strategy to try and give myself a visual of this word that I'm forgetting. And so, there are just countless things you can do with Post-its. I also wanted to show you large Post-its. I asked the educators in my anti-boring learning lab what some of their favorite quirky study tools are. And one woman said she just loves 8.5 by 11 Post-its because those also can go on walls. Or one woman said she likes to use those for parts of an essay, and so students can actually write their essays standing up with like your intro on one of the 8.5 by 11 Post-its. And again, you don't have to have Post-its. You can use blue tape and paper, right? That works too. All right, I challenge you to pick one of these study supplies that you would like to go out and get for yourself and experiment with using this semester. What might that be? Put it down below in the comments and tell us what you think you might do with it. And that may hold you accountable to going to get yourself this study supply and to play with it all semester long. I wish you some very anti-boring study sessions. Okay, educators, did you see what I just did there? I asked students a question that I'm actually going to be giving you all as your script for this video. And that question is, which of these would you like to experiment with? Now, this is a great question for a variety of reasons. First of all, the word experiment is one that I wish we would use in education more often because there's no perfection in experimenting, right? You just try things out and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But letting students know that we can play, we can experiment. We're not looking for perfection in how you use any of these study tools is a really wonderful thing to model, and I think that word shows that. You could also say, which of these would you like to play with? Sometimes I say that too. The other thing I want you to notice is I didn't say, did you like this? Or will you use any of this? Those are yes or no questions. Instead, it's open-ended because they could name any of these. Which of these would you like to experiment? But I'm already assuming that an experiment is going to happen. Now, a student could say none of them, and that would be an appropriate response, and then we would talk about it. But I would love for you to play with providing some options, maybe even asking a student, do you have any other ideas of other anti-boring study tools you could have around to get yourself studying in creative ways? And then, which of all the things we mentioned would you like to experiment with? And then, you know what, I should have put in the next week, in for your next test, but put a nice small increment. I know what I asked the students a second ago was for the rest of the semester, and actually, as I think about it, that was a mistake. I should have broke it down into just the next thing. What would you like to try for the next thing? So anyway, if you have other ideas of questions to ask or other creative study tools that you like to share with students, I would love to have you post below so that can be a resource for students and educators, and we can build our list. And if you want more anti-boring tricks from me, or if you want to understand more about how I teach students the anti-boring study cycle, head on over to antiboringlearninglab.com/library, and there are a bunch of free downloads that are there for you to experiment with your students. And I'll see you in the next video, y'all. Bye.